Welcome to another episode of the show Media Talk series with me, Adebisi Adetunji. This is where we talk about everything media, basically to inspire, motivate, encourage you to evolve, modify, and grow in your profession. And every now and then I get to bring someone doing something unique, whether as a broadcast media journalist, professional, or in the digital space, or in the print. And of course, we have a convergence of both the traditional media, that is the print, TV, radio, and the digital. Everyone is online now. So it is important that you modify, you evolve, and you grow to keep being relevant. An interesting guest personality, someone very, very dear to my heart and special to me. We call him in our circle Oga Eze. His name is Eze Eze Ogali. He's a media and development communications professional. He has had years of working in the media space, working in the development space. He has worked with the BBC Media Action, developing amazing, impactful storytelling content that has impacted communities, impacted the development space, impacted the health and well-being of people in communities and in our space. And I just felt that it is important that we learn and glean a thing or two from his wealth of experience, leading media communication, engaging the media space, and helping people like you and I to learn about how to do it specially. And today we are going to be talking about how to develop media, impactful health media content. Oftentimes we say media, health content, whether you are writing as a media journal, a health reporter, or a health content producer. Oftentimes I hear broadcasters and media professionals say that health programming or health article writing is boring. Boring. We are here to tell you, my guest today is here to tell you that health programming and content can be very, 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 very interesting and impactful. And I tell you, there are lots of opportunity in health content development and creation. Make welcome with me Eze Eze Ogali. We call him Oga Eze, the only Oga Eze that we know, amongst my colleagues who work with him. And he's been doing such an amazing things, training, leading media professionals on how they can better develop social and behavioral change, health, communication content. Welcome.
Thank you,
Eze. I'm so happy to have you here. He's my boss, is my Oga, and I've learned a lot, from him. And I said, no, you have to come on the Media Talk show to talk, to a larger and a wide audience of media professionals beyond the people that we work with in the 36 states of Nigeria as a whole. So you're welcome again, sir, to the program.
Thank you, Adebisi. It's my pleasure to be on your show.
Thank you. So, how did it all start for you? I mean, your journey in the media space. Did you study mass communication? Have you always wanted to work in the media space? How did you get into this space? Tell us your story.
Okay, I think it's a very long journey, and if I start telling the story, we'll probably take the entire length and duration of the program. So I think, where did my media journey start? So first of all, no, I didn't study mass communication. I studied theater arts. I studied theater arts in the University of Port Harcourt with majors in dramaturgy, which is basically playwriting.
All right.
When you pass through the tutelage of the legend himself, late Professor Olarotimi,
Oh,
Then you will realize that theater arts, goes beyond going on stage or making films.
yeah.
It's all about communication. It's all about communicating your thoughts, communicating your feelings, communicating your political viewpoints,
Yeah.
communicating everything, that you think that the audiences will love to see. So that's actually how I started. And then post graduation,
Yeah.
I found myself in the radio, that's living in Owerri, where I was producing a radio drama in the then Imo Broadcasting Corporation Owerri. And
Ah,
then, of course, from working on radio and TV, I went over to the print, as an entertainment correspondent of a
no.
regional newspaper in Imo State called the National Post. The National Post is actually the offspring of Champion newspapers published by Engineer Emmanuel Iwanyang. The Champion newspaper is a national newspaper, but then National Post was a regional newspaper being published from the southeast of Nigeria. So basically, working at the National Post, I was hired as entertainment correspondent, covering entertainment, leisure, and all that. But my restless spirit would not let me to just sit down doing entertainment. So from doing entertainment, I added finance and business. I added transport. I also do other basic reporting, and I also cover religion, by the way, and I cover
All
culture,
right.
writing biographies of top traditional rulers in Imo State and the Southeast, and religious leaders who were going on Saturdays and Sundays. Then, about 2 years of working in print, I was promoted to edit the Saturday paper.
Oh,
You know,
you became an
so
editor.
yeah, so that was also how I became a newspaper editor. But everything that has a beginning must one day have an end. So my restless spirit also took me out of the newspaper, and I got in touch with African Radio Drama Association, ARDA, under the leadership of resilient, ebullient, kind, and loving Mama Data
That's a
Fido.
Fido. Yeah.
Yes. So, and it is quite strange because how my movement went from, how I moved from mass media to development communication, I actually give that to Mama Data Fido. And strangely, the day I left working for National Post, that I put in my resignation. But I didn't even plan my resignation. I just went to work, sat on my desk and look at it. I asked myself, is this what you really want to continue doing? I wrote my resignation, and I was just going around telling my colleagues that, guy, me, I don't work, I don't japa, you know.
Just like that.
I don't japa. I was returning my ID cards and all the paraphernalia that belonged to the organization. So I walked into the library, and then there's this gentleman who's also my colleague, Victor Duramark. I'm sorry, I'm naming names, by the way. So Victor,
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
yes,
Please.
so Victor Duramark, a respected gentleman. When he heard that I was in, he was actually very sad. I mean, I've always been a lovable person, by the way. And then Victor said, Izzy, there's an advert I saw in the Punch newspapers of Tuesday. That conversation was on a Thursday. He said there was an advert he saw in the Punch newspaper on Tuesday, and he thinks it's something that I might want to take a look at. I say, oh, okay, no wahala. I walked down to my vendor stand. In those days, there were really no GSM. There was no GSM. There
The
was no
social
internet.
media was still not that,
There
strong.
was no GSM. There was no telecoms, no internet, no social media, no Facebook. The only thing we had was Yahoo Messenger, by the way. And because internet, there was really little or no internet then around us there, so I walked down to my vendor point where I usually read my morning newspapers normally, so I was standing with the vendor, and I asked him, please, do you have a Punch newspaper? So they said, oh yeah, sure, he still does. And then he gave me this Punch. Then I opened. Ada was trying to do a training on inter-educate script writing. So it's actually a workshop, a 14 days workshop. And what were they asking for? They were asking for samples of radio drama scripts. Don't forget, I was a radio drama producer before. So all I needed to do was rush back home, went to my writing desk, pick 1, 2, 3 radio drama scripts I've earlier produced, put them in an envelope, and I walked out. And I was going to post that thing at the post office. And the entry was closing the Tuesday of the following week.
Wow.
I know you couldn't do email. You couldn't, the only option you had was
Nothing like that.
yeah, the only option you had was do a DHL or do the normal snail post. You buy a stamp, go to post office and post it, and only God knows when it will get to
See
when you
life.
get to, when it will get to Lagos. But then again, I think my paths were just being ordered. My steps were just being ordered. That same evening, a young man I attended secondary school with passed through my area. He was going to enter a night bus, so he needed to hang out with me.
Oh, wow.
he
Going to
needed to
Lagos.
he needed to hang out with me until he goes to like I say, guy, no wahala, it's God that brought you. I quickly rushed to the post office. My house was very close to the post office. I went to the post office, bought stamp, and just gave him the package. I said, please, once you get to Lagos, help me post this thing in Ikeja post office. That was how that was how he sent it to. He helped me and post that. I've even forgotten about it. 2 weeks later, I got my first DHL package. It's coming from Ada. They wanted us to. I've been accepted to come for the workshop, so I went to the workshop. And after 14 days, that Fido looked at me, and I'm quoting her exact words. She said, "Eze, what are you really doing in the backwaters of Owerri? When you should have moved to a location where your light needed to shine." That was exactly what
Wow.
she said. And then she told
Wow.
me that she has a radio drama series that she will invite me, in her next writing workshop. And then I went back to her, and then Dr. Fido, when the time came, sent me a DHL again. My flight was paid, my hotel accommodation was paid, everything was paid. And then I went to Lagos, and that was the first time I met Uncle Jab Adu of the blessed memory, because he was also part of the writing team. And that was also where I met Uncle Femi Jarrett, because he's also part of the
Oh,
writing team. And I
Femi
met
Jarrett. Oh,
yeah,
nice.
Femi Jarrett. So we all worked together with Uncle Femi Jarrett, Uncle Jabadu. There were 2 radio dramas that Ada was producing then. Um, the Igbo language version was called Chiefu, and actually Chiefu means daybreak. So that was the radio show I was writing for. And then when the other project ended, USAID was going to start and almost an inter-educate, but it's more of a pedagogy. It is called interactive radio instruction, which was a program they wanted to use to, improve literacy, numeracy skill, and pedagogic literacy and numeracy skills of children in primaries 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then pedagogic skills of their teachers too. So it's an interactive radio. And that project was in Lagos, it was in Kanu, and it was in Nasarawa, the initial project states. So that was it. And I was working on that. I started as a scriptwriter, leading a team of 3 other people, 4 other people. We're writing scripts, and then somewhere along the line, I was promoted and made interactive IRI coordinator in charge of production and formative evaluation. You understand?
Yeah.
So when the project was called LEAP, Literacy Enhancement Assistance Program,
Oh,
LEAP.
okay.
So when the LEAP project ended, Compass took over and continued what LEAP was doing. So I stayed over at Compass as a consultant scriptwriter and consultant formative evaluator. And from Compass, the opportunity came for me to move into BBC World Service Trust then. It is now called
Wow.
BBC Media
Media
Action. So
action.
yeah, so I was at the BBC for 9 years, and I rose to the rank of head of production, where I was in charge of producing radio drama like Story Story. That was
Wow.
that ran on BBC African Service. We also had Gatana Gatananku, the the radio drama that ran in BBC Hausa Service also. And then, of course, we had Flavor, the reproductive health youth magazine program.
Yes, I remember that. Radio Nigeria where I worked, we used
Mhm,
to collaborate with BBC. So we had story. We had Flavor Run for years. They always,
mhm,
deliver it through DHL, and then maybe for the quarter or for the month, and it runs on the station. Very, very nice
mhm.
production.
So we did that, and there was also Waiting Day, the very popular soap opera on HIV. Waiting Day was actually a star-studded TV show. It actually the show that was also used as capacity strengthening for emerging young filmmakers in Nigeria. So most of the young filmmakers you see in Nigeria today were trained using that Waiting Day process. So
Amazing, amazing.
yeah,
Indeed,
you know,
indeed, it will take you forever to talk about
so
your
but of course,
journey.
but of course, when I left the BBC, it was Johns Hopkins, which was the HC3 project. And when the HC3 project ended, of course, we now have the breakthrough action, the project that is going. So on a lot, well, I wouldn't know if it's a nutshell. It's been a very long conversation.
No,
So
no, no, no.
that,
It's so heartwarming to follow your journey from
mhm.
the non-digital age to where we are. So, which means I brought the right person to have this conversation.
Absolutely. And talking about non-digital age, I remember when I used to produce radio drama, in those days there were no computers. Nothing was digital. So it has to be real to real, and I
Mhm,
was a
mhm.
scriptwriter, I was a director, I was acting on the drama some scenes,
Yeah.
and one certain time, because in those days, they call them technical DOs, technical officers in the radio station. And and I was just a guest producer, I wasn't even staffed. But most of these people were in level 8, level 9, level 10. And then to record me, they say I need to buy them coke, I need to buy them snacks, I need to do this. I'm like,
Ah, ah,
guy,
ah.
upon this statutory money, where did they pay me? Now going to buy you with your guy coke. Then that got me angry. Then I started learning how to sit on the console and record my program. And when you do, you splice your tape and splice your
Yes.
tape and then go ahead and do the show. So I had to put myself to
To
develop that
learn.
skill,
Yeah.
to learn that. So we went well, and one funny incident happened one certain time. So we're recording this radio drama. I have cued the tape. It was my turn to go in the scene. I walked into the scene, and then we're recording, and I thought we had one of the best scenes. But by the time I came out to the control room, my tail was just flapping, pra, 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 pra. The tape has gone. And in those days, because it's tape now, if it is computer, we just go back and see
You
where you
quickly
stop.
edit and
Exactly. So we just had to go back. And so all those actually taught me a lot. It just taught me about preparedness, it just taught me about improving my capacity, which is also what I currently do, strengthening capacity of, media producers like myself. Yeah.
amazing. When you talked about that, having to learn how to record and manage the console yourself, I remember also because I'm also a radio drama producer. I write, I
Mhm,
direct, I act a little bit, but I like to take the back end and I also edit. I was forced to also learn how to edit, or
mhm,
incidentally, in our own time, I did met a bit of the reel. Then I met the CD, the CD player, and then we
mhm,
dovetailed completely to, using software to edit and all of that. So I was forced to learn because, again, it was always difficult getting the studio managers, sound engineers to sit for hours after sitting for long hours of recording, then for them to now sit to edit. Long story.
mhm,
So I also had to, I was forced to build my capacity in terms of audio editing, and production, which today I'm enjoying. So again, it's important for anyone watching this. You must build capacity. You don't limit yourself and box yourself in. So let's dovetail into you are in the health communication sector now in the development space, and I work with you to train and mentor. I am mentored by you, and you also teach us to also mentor other media professions in the field. And part of our work, this is why we're having this conversation, is that we've met a lot of media professionals who feel that there is no prospect in health reporting. So first of all, why is health reporting or content creation by media professionals important? Let's establish that.
Okay. Well, why is it important? It is important because it is something that affects everybody. It is something, it's almost like politics and economy. It affects everybody, whether you are the president of the country or whether you are the least of the least in the population. You are affected by health, right? I mean, let's look at typical example of COVID-19. It affected virtually everybody.
That's
Let's look at
virtually everybody, the whole world.
Yeah, it affected everybody. And I always say to people who do health program, the question is always, so what is in it for me? Think about it this way. So that program you make can actually save a life of your relation, of your friend, your distant people, far and near. You understand? And I will share there's a readily example comes to mind. In Sokoto State, one of the states where we work, one of the producers we work with, went out one day to record a program on tuberculosis. A producer, he was making a program on tuberculosis. So he had met the experts, had interviewed. He was sitting back in his studio to do a post-production. Upon listening to the program, he himself recorded and how the expert was describing how to know when you have tuberculosis. It just occurred to him that the same symptoms this man is mentioning are exact same symptoms that he himself has been treating ignorantly. According to this young man, the moment he finished, was producing that program, he went to one of the TB dot centers. The same expert pointed out to. When the result came out, lo and behold, he himself was TB positive.
Wow.
It shocked you, but
he shocked.
So he himself was also TB positive. And he also followed the instruction of the expert he brought to his own program and commenced treatment. And he was healed. And he was okay. Now tell me, assuming he didn't make that TB program, assuming he had said, what's my business with tuberculosis? Waiting concern TB. And he didn't make that program. Ask yourself, what would have become of him today?
Yes.
And so it is very important that radio stations, television stations, newspaper houses, any media organization should actually pay close attention to, they should actually prioritize, in making health programs.
Yeah, and recently we are talking about health security. We just did a training for the media EIS fellowship, and one of the things, even though I was a faculty member, also supporting the training and all of that. One of the things that stood out for me is that just like we have physical security matters, health is actually a security matter, and that is the reason why it concerns every one of us. Health is a security matter, and the way it is even being handled by the NCDC now is, there is like continuous disease surveillance going on in the community, such that once they hear, they receive news, they receive alerts about a disease or an outbreak, they begin to watch it close, monitor it closely, and then actions are, is being taken, and then the media, who are the middlemen to help amplify, to educate, to inform the populace, You know, they are also very, very necessary. So now health, from our conversation with
Mhm.
media professionals and training, people say health can be boring or is not sellable. How can a health producer or a health reporter, a health content creator, what are the things they can do or they should bring to forbear to create, to write, or develop an impactful, interesting, and sellable health content or program?
Mhm. Well, Adebisi, you know that every media content or entertainment program must answer the 5 W and H questions. So what I said to producers or content creators on health is to make sure that their programs, they should just write the WH question words, that'll be the what, the why, the who, the when, the where, the which, and then of course the how.
Wow.
Of course, the how. So once you are able to drop those key questions, that would lay the foundation of the work that you want to do. So starting with what, your question should be, so what do you want to make? Your answer definitely should be, I want to make a health program. So,
Yeah.
let's that your program focus on health, because it is a health program, right? So now that once you have answered your what, once you have answered your what question, right? Then ask yourself the why question. Why do I want to make a health program? That's the question you ask yourself. And we know, like we say in the media, we're making this program to inform, to educate, and then to entertain our listeners. So, first of
Yeah.
all, your program should be primarily to inform and to educate your audiences about a health issue. Let's say it is error. I want to make this program to educate and inform my listeners, my viewers, my readers about what? About cholera. Then you don't have to be discussing cholera and then you bring in malaria. I want to talk about tuberculosis. You want to talk about, there's a whole lot of things to talk about, but then you also need to focus. Like Dr. Benjamin Lazarus of the Hopkins University will always say to us, focus demands sacrifice. So you really need to focus it on cholera and let your show be about cholera. So to inform them and to educate them. And then thirdly, speaking about entertainment, I've always said it that entertainment is not just about humor. Entertainment is not just about making people laugh. There is
Yeah.
entertainment in tragedy. Even in tragedy, there's entertainment, which is why Aristotle in his famous work, The Poetics, talked about catharsis. And catharsis means purgation of fear and pity. So if you're able to take your audiences to experience catharsis with your program, then you have achieved something. And let's just simplify it. Catharsis is the ability to take your audience to that point, point when listening to the program and say,
Aha.
so this
That
is
aha moment.
that aha moment, but I call it the point. So if you're able to take them to that, if you're able to take them to that point, they say, so this is what this means. Oh, so this is how you get this. Oh, this is how you prevent this. Oh, this is how you treat this. Oh, this is how you are, do this. They are happy. That is also entertainment. And when you are able to take your audiences to that catharsis, what you have actually done is to increase their risk perception. Their level of risk perception would have gone up. And once their risk perception goes up, it means that whatever you want them to do, they are willing to try it because they are convinced, what you want them to do. When you have
Yeah.
answered your why question, please, you need to ask yourself the most important and critical question again. Who? Who is this program for?
For.
This content I'm making now, who am I making it? Don't forget, you are not making this show for yourself. You are making it for an audience, and the audience is king in media. Audience
Yeah.
is king. If you don't have an audience, you are just talking to the man in the mirror alone, and that is just you yourself that you are talking
Mm,
to.
mm.
And it's Adebisi, it's we have you and I we have seen this when you go to do capacity strengthening and you ask this
Yeah.
question, who is this program for? And they tell you it's for a general audience. No, there is
Yeah.
never a general audience. You don't make any program for a general audience. There must be a particular audience that your program is targeted to, which is why when you take a trip to the steps to behavior change, right? You see that knowledge alone is not just enough for behavior change, which
Mm.
explains why doctors even know that tobacco smoking is dangerous and most of them still smoke. So they have the
Yeah.
knowledge. They have the knowledge, but the behavioral component is not in place. So understanding who your audience is, what is hindering them from taking the behavior you want them to take. I'll try a very simple example. Think about a pregnant woman who needs to sleep inside a bed net. The pregnant woman would have gone for antenatal classes. The pregnant woman would have been told that sleeping inside a bed net all every night, all year round, will prevent her from malaria. And we know how
Yeah.
deadly malaria is among pregnant women. Malaria and pregnancy is very deadly. We all know that. So
Yeah.
this pregnant woman already knows the benefit of sleeping inside a bed net, right? So do you still want to start making a program about sleep benefit of sleep inside a bed net for that pregnant woman? No. Your program will be useless. She already has that knowledge. She could not be sleeping inside the bed net for some reasons. And I'll share a very example. In the course of this work we do, I met a pregnant woman who told me that, Ogazi, I know about the benefit of sleeping inside bed net, but I don't sleep inside a bed net, and I have about 2 or 3 bed nets in my house. So then the
Mm.
question becomes, so why are you not sleeping? He said, my husband said that sleeping inside a bed net makes him uncomfortable. And a pregnant woman needs the cuddling and the comfort of her husband.
Mm.
And if she insists that she wants to sleep inside the bed, the husband will leave the bed. And so there is nothing you can tell to that particular woman to sleep inside the bed net and make her sleep inside the bed net. So then, in
Mm.
this type of situation, who then is your audience? Who should you make your program for? Is it the pregnant woman or her husband that doesn't want her to sleep inside the bed net? You see how
Mm.
your audience will have moved from the pregnant woman to a husband of a pregnant woman.
Mm. Mm.
So if you don't understand that you are making this program for a man who doesn't allow a pregnant woman to sleep inside a bed net, and you go ahead to make a program for a pregnant woman to sleep inside a bed net, you have lost it. You've not
Yeah.
really, you've not really achieved anything right. Right. So
Yeah.
once you've answered the who question and understand what the issue is, then you can say that, okay, I'm making that journey. So again, having answered the who question, the next question should be, when should I make this program? Then
Yeah. Yeah.
when becomes a very another important point. And I always say that the best time to make a program is when that program is needed. So, for
Mm.
instance, if I'm in Lagos State and it is June 18 and there's cholera outbreak in Lagos State, will I rather be making a program that will help people stay cholera free, or will I want to go and start making a program on cancer awareness? Cancer awareness is important, but at
Mm.
this point in time in Lagos State,
Time.
what people really need is information about cholera. you know.
Cholera.
So that also, because once you make a program about cholera, people want to listen to that, so it's
Mm.
about, again, knowing when to make that program. And now, so it's now you have agreed that now is the time to make a program about cholera. Then you need to ask yourself, there are so many things about cholera. So which aspect of cholera do I want to focus on?
Mm.
The which, the which is the key of your program. Every program has a very broad objective and a specific objective. So
Yeah.
that which becomes that your specific objective, and you need to be specific. So once you are now sure on which aspect you want to focus, don't forget you have gone through the the W questions. Now the key element is the how. So that is the
Wow.
how. So how, now you have answered all these questions. How then do I want to make this program? You want to make a program that people will listen to. You want to make a program that every Tom, Dick, and Easy can listen to and enjoy. Then it becomes on the how. That's where you begin to ask yourself, so what elements do I want to include in this my program? Do I want to do a vox pop? Do I want to do roving report? Do I want to add a drama? Do I want to add a discussion? Do I want to include interviews? Do I want to bring in testimonials? Those are the elements that you need to bring in together to cook, to cook that food, which is your radio program, that you want to make. And I've always said to people, like you said at the beginning of this program, this conversation at DBC, health programs are usually boring. That is a norm. Norm is health programs are usually boring because there's a whole lot of challenges in this country. You don't want to go through the traffic, go through the fuel scarcity, go through lack of food, and you come back home, you want to get entertained, you open the media, and they're also boring you with scientific terms, they are boring you with statistics, they are boring you with a medical doctor wearing his white lab coat or whatever gown they call it, they wear white and teaching facts and figures. Nobody wants that. So what then should you do? Well, and at BBC, you're also a proponent of telling stories with your content. You should, your program should tell stories about the event. If you tell stories about the people dealing with the issue and how they have been able to, overcome it, it is the story of people that audiences want to hear. Nobody want to hear. I don't want to hear that 500 or 400 or 20 people have died of cholera in Lagos State. I want to see an individual that has cholera. I want to hear from that individual how he or she contracted cholera and what he or she is doing to overcome it. That is
Yeah.
the story. That is the story I want to hear. And in listening to that story, I'm learning vicariously from that. I'm living that individual's experience, by the way, which is exactly what theater, drama, movies, and other thing is all about. It's about that
Yes.
vicarious, you know, um, you just live through that individual vicariously. So, for instance, I don't want to get tuberculosis or cholera to know how people who live with cholera deal with it. I want to see somebody that have gone through that journey so that it becomes easier for me to avoid it, right? And then
Yeah.
again, I always say to people, so you have all these elements. Make sure you have them in measured and manageable proportion. I don't want to sit down listening to an interview of 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I should be able to break those interviews with testimonials. I want to break them with a bit of drama skits. I want to break them with vox pops. I want to break them with even light music. I want to
Yes.
break
Have
them with I
drawings.
want Yes, I want to break it up with funny, fun facts. funny fun facts. I want to throw in all those elements, and then you mix it up, and then you sit back and listen. What I always say to people, you make a program, you enjoyed it, you laughed all through it, doesn't make it an exciting program.
Yeah.
Take that program, give it to another ear, let another ear listen to it. You know. So sometimes I've even made programs that I just throw them at my children and say, just listen to it, and they listen to it. And they say, oh, Daddy, this is not this, Daddy, this and then like this, Daddy, oh, I love this, Daddy, why is this thing like this? And when I
Yeah.
get those programs, I move around. Sometimes I even take the program and go to my street. I identify the kind of people I was making the program, I'm making the program for, and give it to somebody that looks like the audience I have in mind. And say, please
Yeah.
let me take, please listen to this, please watch this and give me your opinion. Tell me what you think. And from there, you are able to make sure that you've made, that content that your audience are going to like. So it's about knowing what you want to do, which is a help program, why you want to do that, to help people make informed decisions. Who am I making this program for? I'm making it for XYZ individual. You lock it down. When should I make this program? Now is the time to make the program, or next week is the best time to make the program. I've identified that. Which area should I cover? I've agreed on that. Where should I get my content for my recording? I always say to people, because it is a health program, you don't necessarily need a medical doctor or a nurse to be in that program. You don't necessarily need to have a hospital environment to record that program. I have recorded health program in a farm where a woman she was weeding her farm, and it's a
Oh.
radio program, not television. She was weeding her in her farm as I was talking to her, recording her. She was still working in the farm when we recorded that content, and that content made broadcast, and it was really loved. I have taken my recording into the market to do my recording. You can do your recording anywhere, everywhere you have a good quality sound, where you have your material, where you have your subject. So it's if you understand all these things, it just makes it fun. It just makes it exciting. You want to wake up and take your recorders and just walk out and do your recording without being propped, without being urged, without being asking anybody to cajole you to go ahead and do it. So um I think, and I mean, Adebisi, you can go on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
We can go on and
Yeah.
on and on talking about this. That just have fun. It
Can
is.
be.
Yeah.
I really love, the angle of taking your recording equipment to natural places. So,
Mhm.
for example, the woman that you said was working on a farm, is she someone sharing a testimonial? Was she sharing a testimonial, or was she sharing life in the community?
No, no, no. So here's the thing. Let me even tell you why we even have to go to the farm in the first
Okay.
place. It wasn't planned that we should go to the farm.
Okay.
I I have I wanted a quiet place where she will sit down in her house or come to the studio where I'm working, and we have this honest, heartwarming conversation. But she's also a very busy woman. She also has her farm to attend to. She also has her life to live. And she's not living her life because I want to make a radio program, right? And then we
Yeah.
looked at it. Each time it was during the farming season, I go to the house. She has gone to the farm. I come back in the evening. She's come back. She's very tired. And
Oh.
we, and we can't make a program. I said, okay, no, wahala. We need to go to the farm. It's actually a program about child birth spacing, actually family planning. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was that program we wanted to make. She wanted to share her experience, how she was able to manage her husband before she was able to, get her birth spacing method. So because she always goes to the farm, I just sat back and had to rejig my content, rejig my approach, which is also another thing. When you're making your show, nothing should be cast to stone. It's not the
Mm,
holy, it's not the holy grail that
mm,
cannot be taught. Be willing to experiment. Be willing to explore other ideas. There's no way you cannot make a show. It doesn't have to be in the cubicle of your studios. You
yeah.
can just move out. So when I realized that, we won't be able to make this program on because she has to work, do her farm work, unless I'm going unless I'm agreeing that I'll feed her for the next after which of course I'm not ready and I'm not ready and I'm not willing to do. So what we then had to do is I say, you know what, I can meet you in the farm. Say, are you sure? I say, yes, no wahala. And then we went to the farm. I went to the farm with her with my recorder. And she was working, we're having that conversation. She was sharing her experience. And she could walk and she could pause and then reflect. And that just gave us that very good natural.
Natural. Oh.
Yeah, so she wasn't forced. She didn't see it as she's doing work. We're just having a conversation and we're just walking, And I think that was also one of the best radio shows I think I've also made, So which again, like I said, always, always be willing to explore ideas. Always be willing to try new things. If this approach doesn't work, try this or that approach. So you can, take your show anywhere and do that and do that recording.
And I like
And do
that.
that.
So that is, if you are going to produce, impactful and impactful health programs or impactful health stories that will connect with your audience. I'm trying to recap now. One, follow the 5 WDs and why,
Mhm,
and um, determine your audience. Your audience may not be that
mhm,
pregnant woman who is not sleeping under the mosquito treated net. So you can have a
mhm,
different episode that talks about the pregnant woman, but you must
mhm,
address the issues, which means we have to we have to get feedback from our audience to even know what the issues are. Let's not just sit in
mhm,
our studios, assuming, oh, people must know about malaria, oh, people must know about
mhm,
cholera. What are the issues around cholera or malaria that people are not really, that is hindering people from taking care of their health or behaving as they should? What are the issues? So those are the issues that we should now make tailor our programs to. And one other thing I'm learning, I've learned and I've picked from this conversation is that don't be rigid. Go
mhm,
outside the box. Don't say this is how we've been doing it. Our vox pop must be on the street. A vox pop can be on the farm, as you've said now. A vox pop
mhm,
can be, it can just be so in the natural elements. So there's no rigidity. You can interview your doctor, not necessarily in the studio. You can go to your doctor. You can go to the doctor in the clinic. If your doctor is somebody that has maybe a pastime, maybe a hobby, and he says, I'm going to be as also place. Let's say the doctor is somebody that's interested in farming, like you said, maybe gardening. You can go to that person there and record them in their natural element, and even mention it in your story and say, our doctor, Dr. So is a gynecologist, but he spends part of his leisure time doing this, and we are here. That's what brings life to your program, because you are seeing real people, and that brings life to your health content. And that's something I'm also taking away. One of the things I'm learning recently is location drama. I do radio
mhm,
drama production, but I basically
mhm,
do studio. But one of the things I'm learning in recent is that there's what you call location drama. You go to
mhm,
location and record. It basically looks like, for audio theater, you're like, no, 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 you don't have to be out there in the field. But you can actually do recordings, audio theater recordings out there in the natural elements to give you quality sound and believable sounds. So I really have taken a lot away from this conversation, or guys, as we normally say. Thank you
mhm,
so
mhm.
much for sharing from your wealth of experience. As we wrap up, I want us to just quickly talk about what are the opportunities for uh health journalists, health reporters, health content creators. What are the opportunities? Because again, people are like, it's only sports. There is sports. If you are reporting sport, there's opportunity. If you are reporting current affairs, there's politics, there's opportunity. What opportunities are there for media professionals who are health journalists, health content creators?
Opportunities. It depends also on what we describe as opportunity. Opportunity can mean different things to different people. Number one, for me, the opportunity to make an impact in the life of an individual is very key, and nothing can be bigger than that. The opportunity to save life of an individual, nothing can be bigger than that. And I mean, Adebisi also shared a testimony about a woman in Oyo State that listened to a taxi driver that listened to a TB program and contacted a woman that was going through that particular issue, was being discussed on radio, and then the woman took a step and got her healing. Think about that. That's an opportunity, to do something. But then again, as per personal aggrandizement
And
something
career growth,
about something that personally come to you, health, sector, health reporting in the development world actually is almost like a gold mine now. There
Yeah.
are opportunities abound for people who are good in health content production and reporting. And by people who are reporting health or doing health, I mean people who are intentionally doing health because they know what they are doing, not because it is a role or a duty assigned to them in their office. You can be employed as a journalist, they say your beat is health. Whether you're
Yeah.
interested in health or not, you just go and let me just go and earn my daily pay. Let me go and report health. You only be reporting health based on that. But you are also very intentional in reporting health and making health shows. You should also ask yourself again, why am I making this show? Why am I writing this story? I'm not just doing this story to let people know. I'm writing this story to encourage people to make a behavioral change. And again, like we know, knowledge alone is not enough for behavior change. There are other barriers that the individual need to scale through. You need to get the SBC skills. That's what I always say to people who are doing health, public health. Public health is a behavioral issue. So you need to understand the behavioral science component of it. If you don't get that, you are just making a health program that will not make any impact. And Adebisi, think about it. The health producers we encountered in the course of our work in building their capacity, what did we do? We first of all build their capacity in SBC. If they understand SBC, they're able to make that program that will impact life. And it's only when your health program is SBC themed
Social
that
and behavioral change
social and behavioral
focused.
change, yeah. Yes, but as long as you have all those components, all those elements in your health program, that is when development agencies will be interested in what you are doing. Take, for instance, I didn't hone my skill working with African Radio Drama Association, building my capacity in development communication, working for the BBC and building my capacity in development communication and taking courses, both online courses and physical classroom courses in development communication. John Hopkins wouldn't have hired me now. They would have hired another person that have those
Yeah.
skills.
Yeah.
So those opportunities are there. And Adebisi, a couple of times I've always wanted to interview media people for the work we do. We usually find out that either an individual has threat media skills and no SBC component. We can't
Yeah.
we can't we can't hire such an individual. You understand? So
Yes.
which is why if you're a producer, if you're a journalist, you're working on the health sector, I will encourage you to take courses in social behavior change. I will encourage you to take courses in development because those are the only areas where you are guaranteed of fellowships. There are 1,001 fellowships existing around at DBC that health journalists, health reporters, health content creators should really, subscribe to. But
Yeah.
they need to be prepared. When opportunity means preparedness,
Yeah.
everything becomes smooth selling. That's when people start telling you, "I bet cut soap, give us." Which Baba give you soap?
Meanwhile, it has been your consistency, your personal, you've shown consistency in health
Mhm,
reporting, programming. I think if you're
mhm.
going to do health programming, there has to be that side of passion. You have to be
Mm.
passionate about saving lives, and you are consistent at it. And you take, so which will expose you to opportunities in the field as a health
Mm.
reporter or health producer.
That those are the things you need. Just be prepared, and then opportunity will come. Those opportunities are there. And if you are not prepared and you're not working within the right circle, you won't be able to see those opportunities by, you know. So that again talks about passion. You have talked about passion, just about be passionate.
And then
Those opportunities.
networking, from what you said now, networking, because you have to be in the
Absolutely.
right circle, network with other people who are health content producers and health journalists, see what they
Mm.
are doing. And then the internet has made it easy. So you can Google people online, follow them, follow health journalists and reporters like yourself, see what they are
Mm.
writing about, see what they are doing, see the opportunities, and reach out and connect, really, really connect, and keep doing what you are doing, and
Absolutely.
the opportunities will come rolling in. I want to thank you so much, Oga Eze Eze, for
Mm.
Ogali, for coming on Media Talks, on this edition of the show. I really, 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 really appreciate your time, sir. Thank you for
Thank
all that you do for our communities and our country in terms of public health communication. I see you are someone that pour yourself to, you've poured a lot into the media space. You've poured a lot into media professionals like myself. You've poured yourself, you've shared with us, you've trained us, and you've strengthened capacity. So I celebrate you for what you do, sir, and I pray that bigger and amazing things will happen for you in your career. I was just speaking with
Amen.
one of our colleagues who say, somebody became a special assistant to the presidency, and then the next thing they gave him minister of something. That he had reached the peak of his career, and because he was prepared or something, he was in the right circle, like you said.
Mhm.
Other opportunities came to him. He wouldn't say, "Oh, I'm just a media professional. I cannot be minister or whatever." I mean, so there's room, to grow. There's room for bigger platforms and opportunities as media professionals. And particularly
Mhm.
for this episode, if you're into health reporting, amazing, amazing, big, big opportunity. The world is tilting towards One Health. COVID made it such that health security is an international concern and is a global concern, and there are lots of opportunity in that arena and that space right now. So if you're a health journalist, a health content producer, there's a whole lot of opportunity that is out there, but you cannot be a mediocre. You have to know how it works, what will stand you out, and you have to learn, like avail yourself opportunities for training. You heard our guests, Eze talking about, a training and workshop that he applied for. If he never applied for that, other call for application, he will never be where he is. So when the opportunity is staring in the face, don't be lazy to apply and say, come and cut soap for me. There's no soap to cut. You yourself have to go out to look for the soap. All right. And that is by, taking opportunity as it comes. Don't be lazy to apply. Don't be lazy to take on opportunities. Don't be me. Network, reach out to your colleagues, see what they are doing, help them do what they are doing. They invite them to, help you do what you are doing, and you are expanding your reach and opportunities. Thank you so much again, sir, for coming on the show.
Thank you,
I'm so,
Adebisi.
so honored. Thank you so much. And
Thank
this is
you.
where we call it a wrap on Media Talks on this episode. Our guest has been Oga Eze Eze Ogali, a media and communications professional, I would say specialist, expert, because he has had years of experience which he has shared with us on the show today. Catch you on another interesting episode of the Media Talk series, where I'll be bringing another personality who will be sharing with us their experience, who will tell us how we can grow, evolve, modify, and expand. And as I always like to say, we are all going to the top together. I am rooting for you. Beyond the sky is your limit, but it's all up to you to take the necessary action. Catch you next time. Bye-bye.